Hi everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Dr. Surashit Batina. I work at Indigo Women's Center, Chennai. I usually talk a lot about fertility related content. If that is something that interests you, do consider subscribing. So you have finally decided that you require infertility treatment. Maybe you have been trying for a year, you have not been able to conceive. So you start looking at Google and trying to find out which are the best infertility centers around. I know that it is very daunting to go and search for an infertility center. I know there are several of them in India and the choice becomes very difficult. So I'm going to give you 10 tips of how you can choose the right infertility center for you. Before you start any treatment at any of these centers, please understand that you are going to spend some substantial amount of time over there. This time can be ranging from 1 month all the way to 6 months, sometimes even longer for some patients. So make sure you're ready for the long run. So what many clinics do is that they lure you into the whole aspect that you require IVF treatment in situations when you probably might not. So that is something that most people are aware of, and you will be able to know this right off the bat. So once you understand that the philosophy of the doctor is not matching with your own, it's time you shift to a new one. Finding the right center is very important, so you investing some time in trying to go and visit different clinics goes a long way. The very first step is a no-brainer. Make sure that the person you're consulting is a gynecologist. I know that there are several centers where gynecologists are not really practicing the infertility treatment. I've also seen centers where anesthetists are giving treatment. So the first one is absolute no-brainer. Make sure that your treating physician is a gynecologist. When it comes to Google reviews, make sure that you're also checking the kind of reviews what is written by the patients, because the language what they use is going to be very different from the ones who are in the SEO team writing these reviews. When reviews are written by the SEO teams, they are going to mention the name of the doctor a lot. You will also see that most of these same reviews are being repeated over and over again. Of course, they're not going to come up with new ways of how we can write a review, so have a look at that. Another thing is, usually when patients write a review, it has a flow to it. You can definitely know whether it is written by a patient or an SEO team. Another better option is to find out another patient who has gone and visited the hospital earlier, so that you can get their review from it, and if you think that they had a good experience, chances are that you might have a good experience as well. Your second tip is that find out who is your consultant or who really sees you. Most of the time when consultants run a lot of centers, they are always traveling from one center to another, so it is very unlikely that you are able to get some quality time with them. This is something that I say pretty much all the time. Fertility treatment is like a journey, with your fertility specialist being the guide or the captain of the ship, and you are his or her trusty crew members. It's tough if the crew members jump ship midway, or even if in case your captain is not present at the boat most of the time, then there will be an absolute chaos and there'll be a break in treatment, and you don't want that. So it's always better to choose a place which has not too many branches and you are quite certain of whom you're going to visit every single time you're in the hospital. Tip number 3, do not take distance into the consideration. We have always many patients who are traveling from different parts of the country. They are traveling from different places in the world to seek treatment. So definitely you traveling a few hours here and there should really not matter. But definitely make sure that the center you're going to provides you parking. Tip number 4, find out the turnaround time for your results. Most fertility centers, if they have several branches, usually have a centralized system where they send all their lab reports. So if this is the case, chances are that you might have to visit the hospital 2 to 3 times for you to just get your results. Whereas in centers which are only running individually without any branches, most of them have an in-house lab. So usually the results come to you within 1 to 2 hours, and you will be able to get the reports in the very same day, and you will be able to analyze the reports with the consultant in the very same day as well. It is absolutely important because this will definitely cut short the number of days that you have to seek treatment. Again, nobody really likes to visit the hospital. I'm sure you don't as well. And definitely by making sure that you have a very short turnaround time for your results, the number of hours you're going to spend within the clinic is also drastically reduced. Find out if your clinic works on weekends. Just because it's a Sunday does not mean that your ovaries are going to take a break as well. It doesn't mean that ovulation is going to stop just because it's a Sunday. So make sure that you have a weekend clinic, so you can be rest assured that your folliculometry and your scans are being done on time. Tip number 6, do not fall for gimmicks of low cost treatments and things like that, because none of these hospitals are going to go into a loss just because you're going to seek treatment from them. So all of them are going to make their profits. Most of these low cost schemes, what they're going to do is they're going to add up costs later during the treatment. So once you're reeled into the treatment, your costs are going to add up then. So make sure there is complete transparency when you're discussing costs. There are very important tips that you need to know before you go into an IVF center, especially in regards to cost. And if you want me to make a video on that, do let me know in the comments down below. Most of these so-called money back offers have a big catch to them, so make sure you're well aware of what you're getting into. And if it sounds too good to be true, chances are that it's most likely not. I have had a lot of patients who have lost a lot of money just because there was not much transparency between the communicating doctor as well as the patient. So they start off at one particular rate but then end up paying a lot more later, because a lot of investigations and a lot of treatments keep getting added up, and finally they end up losing more. Tip number 7, make sure you know your individual chances of having a successful pregnancy, because many people, what they do is that they try to look for the clinic success rate. Now the clinic success rate can be easily manipulated, because if the clinic is doing a lot of donor cycles, then of course their rates are going to be much more higher. But if in case the clinic does a more genuine practice where they don't really follow the donor cycle but they individualize the treatment for you, then in that situation the chances of pregnancy might be lower, because we are going to use the patient's own follicles. So it is very important that you need to know this difference, that success rate is not everything. Success rate actually depends on the individual. So whenever you go to the hospital, find out your individual chances of success and not the clinic success, because again, the clinic success can always be manipulated. And most of these rates what centers talk about is not the actual take-home baby rate, but they are talking about the pregnancy rates. So of course pregnancy rates are going to be much higher than the actual take-home baby rates. So it's always good that you make that distinction before you head into the hospital. Tip number 8, make sure you visit the same center for your scans or your folliculometry every time. See, what you need to understand is that your follicles always remain the same no matter which center you go to, but the eyes of the consultant are always different. So one person perceives it in a particular way, the other person might be perceiving it differently. What this means is that if you do not have a consistent radiologist either in the center which you're going to, or if you're visiting several centers, you're going to have a lot of mishaps and a lot of problems are going to be created because of that. So ideally your hospital is going to have the same person looking at your ultrasound every single time. Tip number 9, make sure that the consultant shares your philosophy. If you're watching this video, chances are that you are very careful in taking all your steps, and make sure that you and your treating physician have the same philosophy, and try to get the feel of the place. Try to look at how they run their institution, and with that you will get a better idea of how your treatment flow is going to go on. So understand the philosophy of the doctor, and if that matches with your philosophy as well, then that's the right center for you. And tip number 10, always get a second opinion. There are so many choices around. If you think at one center you started off, everything was good, everything is going fine, but somewhere down the line you thought, okay, the philosophy of the doctor has changed, or you really don't think that you are in sync with that particular doctor, you always have a choice of going and getting a second opinion from somewhere else. This is very important, especially in infertility treatment, because I have seen people who have wasted years and years trying and believing in the same consultant, and finally they end up with no results, and at that point of time they are so vexed that they give up treatment at all. So do not fall into the trap, and make sure you always get a second opinion. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. That's the end of our video. Do let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments down below. If you really got some good information out of this, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. Do like this video. If you want me to talk about one particular subject as well, again, a comment section is there. You can go ahead and type it out there. Until next one guys, see you and have a great day.